The desire to be part of a public farewell may have reached a fevered pitch after Princess Diana's death, but it has always been a part of us.
Elvis Presley died today.
So many fans turned out in 1977 to see Elvis's funeral cortege that President Jimmy Carter had to call out the National Guard. When slugger Babe Ruth died in 1948, more than 100,000 gathered to bid the home run king farewell. The godfather of soul, James Brown, had fans lined up around the block for a ghoulish goodbye.
Lennon was shot and killed at about 11 o'clock last night.
And John Lennon's sudden death drove thousands to song.
Frank Dileo was Michael Jackson's longtime manager and his friend, and he is with us exclusively. Frank, good morning to you.
Good morning.
You know, just a few weeks ago, you were preparing with Michael for this 50 concert tour in London, and now today, his musical director and his band will be performing at his memorial service. What is going through your head today? What are your emotions today?
Well, I know it's going to be a very nice service. I know it'll be a great show. It'll be good to see people celebrate the memory of Michael. But it's very sad for me because we were scheduled to leave Friday, this past Friday.
And you really thought he was on the cusp of coming back big time?
There was no doubt about it. It's just, it's hard for me to believe that he's gone. You know, I see these images up on the screens, and most of those images I have some feeling or was a part of, and it's going to be a difficult day for everybody. I think by tomorrow maybe it'll finally hit me. Right now it's been a mad race.
You know, his legacy, we've been talking about it so much the past few days. How do you think he would react to this, to what's been said about him, to the events of today?
I think he knows, and I think he's enjoying it. And he always loved the fans, and he always loved when they turned out. And his fans are different than other people's fans. I've worked with a lot of artists, and I've seen different kinds of fans. His are very dedicated, real, sincere people, and he loved them dearly. And I'm sure he's very happy with the outpouring.
You know, we asked you in the break if you could confirm any of the reports about the casket being here or a private service this morning or any of those things, and you said you really can't because it's been kept so private by the family on purpose.
Right. They've kept it private. I have no idea what they're doing as far as a burial service or whatever. I think in their religion, I think they have their own, they have their own practices and things like that. So I haven't been informed, and I really don't know.
When I last spoke with you, it was the day after Michael died, and you were very upfront about your concerns about him and prescription drugs, possible use of drugs.
Well,
since then, go ahead.
I said, we never really said that. You asked me, and I said, I don't know because the toxicology report is not back.
I don't mean in terms of that. I mean, it's just mean that there were issues prior to that you had concerns.
There were.
Well, since then, we have found, authorities have said they're looking at 5 different doctors in connection with Michael, including the one that was hired by the tour, who wasn't even licensed to dispense prescription drugs. When you hear that, does that make you angry, Frank?
It makes me very mad, but you have to understand that Michael said that was his doctor. The promoters didn't hire him because they needed a doctor.
Right.
Michael forced the promoters to hire that gentleman, Dr. Murray. And there probably were a lot of doctors, and I'm very angry about it, that they didn't have enough sense to stop whatever they were giving him, if that is what happened. And I hope the authorities do look into it.
And now we're hearing that possibly a custody battle for the kids between Debbie Rowe and Catherine, and also the judge ruling yesterday that the executor of the estate will not be the Jackson family, but rather his lawyer and a longtime friend of Michael Jackson's. Do you anticipate that once this is over, there's going to be a long, bumpy road ahead?
I don't think so. I think the will was very clear. I think the judge saw the people that were appointed executors. He knows that they're capable of taking that estate and building it for the children and for Catherine. Catherine was not left out of anything. She clearly gets the kids. It says it in a will. And that's what a will is, the person's will. And that's what Michael wanted. That's what's going to happen.
Frank Dileo, it's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you,
Tough circumstances. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In Los Angeles, the famous and the infamous turned out for celebrity attorney Johnnie Cochran's funeral. Among the 5,000 people who came to pay their respects on Wednesday were Cochran's former clients O.J. Simpson, Sean P. Diddy Combs, and Michael Jackson, who took advantage of a day off in his current trial to attend. Attorney Ricky Kleeman was on hand for the star-studded farewell also. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Renee.
Was it odd to see O.J. Simpson and Michael Jackson there together?
I don't think it was odd because I expected it. O.J. Simpson owes Johnnie Cochran a life. Michael Jackson owes Johnnie Cochran a life back from that 1993 case that was settled. And I think that they should have paid their respects there. What I will say is this. O.J. Simpson walked in there proud, smiling with that big head of his, and he laughed at Reverend Sharpton's joke about we were clapping for Johnnie. Michael Jackson was very subdued. Michael Jackson came in, as he always does, with his handlers under the umbrella, and he was very quiet and withdrawn, sitting with his lawyer, Tom Mesereau, who was very pleased that Michael was there.
We begin with breaking news and what could be criminal charges in the Michael Jackson case. Here's what L.A. Police Chief William Bratton told us just moments ago.
Well, the inquiry into the death of Mr. Jackson is continuing. We will still await corroboration from the coroner's office as to the cause of death. That is going to be very dependent on the toxicology reports that due to come back. And based on those, we'll have an idea of what it is that we're dealing with. Are we dealing with a homicide? Are we dealing with an accidental overdose? Or what are we dealing with? So, as we're standing here speaking, I can't tell you because I don't have that information.
You would wait until the coroner's finished, or you don't need to wait until their report's out, do you, to change the classification of the investigation?
No, we have a very comprehensive and far-reaching investigation, which has been pretty widely reported in the media, that we're looking at his prescription drug history, the doctors that he's dealt with over the years. We have the cooperation of the DEA and the State Attorney General's office, who keep those records. So those are being looked at by our personnel. We, at the time of the death, with search warrants, were able to seize a number of items from the residence in which the death occurred, and those will assist in the investigation as it moves forward.
The sense of the classification of a death investigation to homicide, what needs to take place?
That would actually be the coroner's determination. He makes the determination as to the nature of the death.
You wait for a definitive cause of death to change the investigation? In
terms of, we move forward in a variety of ways with our investigation, which is in many respects a comprehensive set of inquiries, so that no matter which way the coroner's finding would go, the multiple findings he may make, we'd be in a position to not have lost time, if you will, waiting for that report. So we're not marking time waiting for his report. We're gathering based on our experience in these matters. And unfortunately, Los Angeles, we had a lot of experience with death investigations, that we've got very good investigators. So they'll be prepared to deal with whatever the coroner's findings may be.
Getting cooperation from all the doctors?
I won't speak to the intricacies of the investigation. That's not our policy. But we are, as has been reported in the media, speaking to, and will be seeking to speak to, a number of the physicians that attended Mr. Jackson over the years that he was being treated.
And finally, if, because people think, homicide investigation or doctors, there's a clear difference, is there not, possibly in intent and possible charges. And just because an investigation is going one way doesn't mean some physician is going to be thrown in jail.
I'm not even going to speak to that. We'll wait to see what the coroner comes back with, and then once he comes back with his determination, we'll be able to speak to, in a much clearer and very open way, what our course of action will be. But I'm not going to speculate at this time. I prefer to wait till he comes back with his findings. He has his role and responsibility. We have our role and responsibility. But the next move really is his. Did you know that in our LAPD family, there are many who have lupus, have a loved one with lupus, or have lost someone to this terrible disease? There is no cure for lupus. There have been no new treatments in over 50 years. With our support, a cure could be found, and new treatments with fewer side effects be developed, so that fewer lives will be lost. You can help by getting involved and supporting the largest lupus race in the nation. This unique event brings together law enforcement and firefighting agencies for one cause, supporting lupus and Lupus International. There are many ways to get involved. Create your own law enforcement running team. Sign up individually, collect donations, or volunteer. Trophies and medals will be awarded to the top law enforcement runners. It's a great cause that will give back to our Los Angeles community. Make a difference. Be the difference. Register now for the 10th anniversary Lupus Race for Life on Sunday, October 4th, 2009. Call 888-532-2322 or go online to lupusinternational.org.
Sir, you're a licensed mortician, is that correct?
That's correct.
And how long have you been doing this, sir?
30 years.
30 years. And your name?
I'm Ted Felder.
Ted Felder, and you're the head mortician. But let me ask you this. Could you tell by the way they were carrying the coffin whether Michael Jackson's body was in that coffin for sure?
No, not by the way that they were carrying the casket, but I wouldn't have a reason to feel that he was not in the casket.
Uh-huh. And what would those reasons be?
The funeral homes are liable for deception of the public, so I wouldn't think that a funeral home would take that chance of not having the remains in the casket.
I see. And would the body need to be refrigerated at this point?
Not if he's been thoroughly embalmed.
Uh-huh. And how long would he, could he be non-refrigerated for an indefinite amount of time at that point? Or?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So if they're making the decision whether to cremate or bury him, it could stand around for a month or so, no problem?
Yes, it could.
How does the embalming help the body not decay at that point?
It preserves and disinfects the body.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. And so it's your professional opinion that definitely the body was there at the service?
Yes, yes. Welcome.
As far as Michael's remains, who would make the decision as what to do with Michael's remains?
His legal next of kin.
Would that be his mother or his brothers or?
Well, he has minor children, and if the children are the next of kin, however, they're minors, and if the grandmother has guardianship or custody of the kids, then she could act on their behalf. But it also depends on what his will states in regards to his body. That supersedes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So if in his will he says he wants to be cremated or buried at a certain place, then that would be honored, is that right?
If the law of the state will allow his body to be buried or cremated and placed in that area.
What would be your guess on which cemetery in Los Angeles that they would bury the body?
I wouldn't think that he'd be buried at a cemetery in Los Angeles.
Oh, you think it would be out of town somewhere?
I would think that they would take him back to Indiana and bury him.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah. Would they be able to bury him on a family property in Indiana easier than they would?
Maybe Indiana laws are different.
Oh, I see, okay.
Maybe they'd be different.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much, Ted.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful day, and do you have anything to say to the Jackson family?
My heart goes out to the family. It has not been mentioned that during Mr. Jackson's career as an entertainer, he was not an entertainer that portrayed violence or indecency, or he didn't degrade women.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that speaks a lot about.
Yeah, there was no derogatory lyrics in any of the songs.
No.
Everybody's pretty broken up about it, huh?
Yes, it's sad.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Ted.
You're welcome.
Have a nice